for more on this story, we can bring in Wassim and Nasr. Wassim, good to see you. So where exactly did al-Sharaa go?
We're going to look at a map to see the itinerary he took out of Damascus. This is his first trip in Syria after the fall of the regime and the takeover of Damascus. Maybe we can see it on a map. And here you see all the towns that he visited. So first Idlib, then Afrin, third Azaz, fourth Aleppo, and then at the end Latakia and Tartus, as you said. We're going to see footage of some of those trips he made. It's just to see how the crowd was present in all locations. We'll start with Idlib, maybe the video out of Idlib where we see him, where actually people were surprised to see him arrive, because that wasn't a planned, a planned trip. And here he is in one of the squares of Idlib, which I visited actually in 2023. This is the main square of Idlib, and we have footage also of him, which was very surprising in Latakia, the town of Latakia. You may see it now. Here it is, and here too, it wasn't like a planned visit or an advertised visit. He just like went in town, and people saw him, and crowds gathered around his convoy. And the most maybe telling videos are out of Tartus. We'll have one during the day. We'll get to see it. So here it is.
Wow.
Tartus. You see the crowds. I don't know if we can listen to the sound. And then what's telling too is that he stayed in Tartus, and you have another footage of him at night, where crowds were still. Here it is. Cheering him in Tartus.
So he's received a rock star's welcome, clearly, but was there a strategy in the way he went around? Was there an order or method to it, or was it picked randomly?
It wasn't random at all. It was carefully chosen, the itinerary, because it reflects his priorities and the priorities that he should have internally in Syria. So first of all, Idlib, we have some pictures out of Idlib where he met like notabilities in Idlib. Why Idlib? Because those are the people who helped him actually win this war. And here he's at a camp of displaced people in Idlib. So he saw the people, representatives of Idlib, but he also went into the camps, not one camp, many camps of displaced people, because it is because of those displaced people who fought the fight that he was able to take actually Aleppo, and knowing that he was under a huge pressure in Idlib before the beginning of the fight from the displaced people, even demonstrating in the streets, asking him to open fronts and to take back their villages. You see, so it was really important for him to go back to Idlib, to go back to those displaced camps and to tell them, please have patience. We are going to reconstruct your villages, and then you'll be able to go back. Knowing that, for example, the last presidential visit to Idlib goes back to 1971, when the father of Bashar al-Assad, Hafiz al-Assad, went to Idlib, and he wasn't welcomed at all at the time. Then he went to Afrin. And we have some pictures of Afrin. And why Afrin? Because Afrin is a town known for a Kurdish majority in it. And many Kurdish people from Afrin were displaced due to the war and due to the fact that those who established themselves there were loyal to the Syrian National Army, which is local, run by Turkey, actually. And he went back to Afrin, and this is also politically very telling, because he came back to Afrin after his forces came back to Afrin and are controlling actually Afrin in order to allow the return of those displaced Kurdish people, which is part of the deal, which is gonna maybe be cut with the Syrian Democratic Forces in return of getting back the dam of Tishreen. And so after Afrin, of course, Aleppo. We're gonna see pictures of Aleppo, and here you saw Christian representatives, and among them Hanna Jallouf sitting, and you see women talking to him in Aleppo. And Aleppo echoes also the issue with the Syrian Democratic Forces, because the Tishreen dam gives electricity and water to all Aleppo, and it is controlled by the YPG and the Syrian Democratic Forces, meaning the Kurdish forces. And also because 2 or 3 neighborhoods inside the town of Aleppo are still run by the Kurdish YPG, And this is really an exception that is made because he doesn't want to go into a fight with them. It is also interesting to see that in Aleppo, he talked about his own experience of imprisonment in Iraq during 7 years, where he said, my mother did not know where I was, talking to the mothers of the disappeared people actually in Syria under the regime. And she got to know that I was still alive after 7 years of being in custody in Iraq, knowing that in Iraq, he didn't say he was Syrian. He said that he was an Iraqi from Mosul, so he could not get in touch with his family. Then Latakia, as you said, a stronghold of the Assad rule, and we have some pictures of Latakia where you see the Alawite minority also. Here you are, and the Christian representatives talking to him. It is important because it is marking the fact that he is the power now. He is ruling Syria, but that he is still open to the minority, the Alawite minority, which was really the nerve of the war of the Assad family, and to mark that he has no animosity towards the Alawite as a religious group. And Tartus, of course, why Tartus? Because Tartus, they are still have the naval Russian base there, and he is still discussing with Russia the fate of this base, knowing that Russia sent Bogdanov a few weeks back to meet al-Sharaa in actually Damascus.
Now, during al-Sharaa's first visit to Idlib, the U.S. conducted a drone strike. Who exactly did they target?
Well, actually, of course, they conducted the strikes on the 15th, and they conducted this strike on the road M4, which al-Sharaa took from Aleppo to Latakia. We have the footage here. And actually, they're targeted two Libyan al-Qaeda fighters, knowing that Haras al-Din, the offshoot of al-Qaeda in Syria, was dissolved a few weeks back. And it is interesting to see that they did it the day before al-Sharaa took this road, knowing that they also conducted a drone strike in Idlib the day that he was pronouncing the victory speech in Damascus. It reflects actually the stand of the U.S., who did not accept also to sign the declaration of the Paris conference a few days ago. The new U.S. administration is still wondering how to tackle this new regime in Damascus. They are not decided as the European and the French are. They are still thinking about it. And I think that, of course, we may think they had the opportunity, so they did it, and others think that they had the opportunity due to the help maybe of the new regime, but politically it does not fit to conduct a hit on the day that Sharaa is pronouncing his victory speech, and also the day before he takes this same road M4. So it's a political message because some in the West are pushing al-Sharaa and the new Syrian administration to really get into the coalition legally and effectively against the Islamic State and al-Qaeda in this region. So despite the fact that he is fighting the Islamic State since 2013, that he is in war with al-Qaeda since at least 2017, that he's collaborating with Western and local agencies against them. Some want him really to get inside this coalition without any space for doubt. And the Americans are looking for this, knowing that, for example, his Minister of Foreign Affairs was, after the Paris conference, went to the Munich Security Conference, which is really important in the regard when we know where they come from and where are they heading to.
Indeed. Wassim, thank you very much for that. Wassim Nasr there.